Hello and welcome to part 5 of the Houdini soccer ball football tutorial. And today we're going to be working on UVs. Last we left off, we had just finished these for each nodes and led them into a fuse and a subdivision node, which gives this leathery and grippy looking soccer ball. So right now we're going to work on some UVs. So in our first step, we're going to have to change our viewport. So up here in the top right, let's go to two views side by side. All right, and then let's set this. So this view is already set to UV, but otherwise, if it's not, just go here to set view, and then set to UV viewport, and that's what we have right now. And sometimes you may start this up, and you'll see that your checkerboard or the viewport right here is like in the corner or something. If you want to change that, just hold down the space bar and right mouse button, and you can zoom in or out. And if you use the middle mouse button, you can drag yourself around. So if you find yourself in a position where the viewport's not where exactly you want it, you can always snap it to the position you'd like. Same with the soccer ball here on the right. And so I'm just gonna blow these two up to be roughly the same size, and let's get started with step 2. So for step 2, we're going to need to display a texture map. In order to do that, we're going to have to add a Quickshade node. So let's look up the UV Quickshade node after pressing tab in our network view. And we're going to place that right after our for each but before the fuse. And so here's our Quickshade node. And now we can see in our UV checkerboard that it split up the ball into areas, and our ball also has a pattern decked out around it or onto it. And so now we're going to go pick the texture that we'd like. So if you've downloaded the correct Houdini files, and you should have this put in the right project. It should be an intro lesson start. Then all you're going to need to do is go up here to the parameters of your UV. So just click on the UV node, go to the parameters, texture map, and you're just going to navigate here. You're going to want to navigate to the $hip file if you're not already in there, or folder if you're not already in there. If you are in there, navigate to text, double click, and then we're going to want soccerballcolor.rat. And so we're just going to click on that, press accept. Okay, and now that UV is applied to our ball and on our board. Now we're going to move on to step 4. Well, actually step 4. So now we're going to add a Quickshade, or rather a Flatten node after our Quickshade. So tab again, and we're just going to search for UV Flatten. We're just going to pop that in there between our Quickshade and our fuse. Okay, so in the group field right here, we're going to add @patches greater than 90 and press enter. So now this is going to focus on all the dark patches on the ball. So all these dark squares on the ball we have over here, these darker shapes, it's going to be focusing on those. So that's what the first flatten is going to do for us. And now we're going to go to the handle tool right over here on the left side, click it. And so first make sure that you click it so you get the actual UV pop-up right here. All the colors will change. You're going to right click, and you're going to choose the min tool. And now we're just going to drag this box upwards. Now I've actually forgotten a step. Before we drag this box upwards, what we need to do is that we need to change our background. So we need to go up here to the top right where it says UV vertex. We're going to go to background. And since we've just moved to color.rat on our Quickshade, it's now in that folder. So we can see other backgrounds that we have. So we have soccerballcolor.rat. It's like, oh, you want to make that a background? That's the background we'd like. So let's make it our background. And now you can see that we have a difference between black and white on our UV board. So now let's get back to the min tool. We're going to want to squish all these UVs up within the darkest part of the area. So the cutoff is right about there. So that's where all the dark stuff is. So that's where we want all our dark spots, and that's going to handle all those. All right, and now we're going to add a second flatten node. So our second flatten node is going to be handling the light patches. So let's look for another UV flatten. Press enter, and we're just going to add it straight after our first flatten. So zoom out and zoom back in down here. And now we're just going to want to do @patches less than 20. And so this is going to focus on all patches that are our white patches. And so now we're going to want to do the same thing. We're going to want to go back to our min tool, select it, right click, go to min, or sorry, our on our handle tool, right click, choose min, and then we're just going to put all these within the white area. So the white area starts right about here. You can also see the shadow of our previous UVs, the ones that we have on the top. You can see them up top there. So right here in the dark area, this is where we're going to want our light stuff. Now this next step, I will not lie, confused me for quite a while. I had to mess around with some things, but I got it figured out eventually. So let's move down here because we're going to want the logo down here on this white patch, yeah? So we're going to go to the patch right here on the center, and we kind of want to move it so that our patch is right here. So before we do any of that, we're just going to go over to our pin tool. That's up here on the top. We're just going to click on that. And now, if you mouse over any of your vertices, see this green vertices that I'm referring to with my mouse. If you look real close in the UV chart, you can see there's another green vertex or a green circle with a yellow dot in it. And then if I move that dot around, you'll see that in the bottom right of the UV checkerboard or of our background, there's a yellow dot in the center of that circle. So if I move my mouse around, you'll see that different circles light up with a little yellow pin in the center. And so I want my pin right here. I want my pin to go right here because that's where I want my badge on my ball. So I'm going to shift left click on this pin, and that's going to put a vertice there. Now I can move this patch within the UV board until it's over our logo. And so now we're just going to want to line that up in center, try and get the center of the ball there as best we can. Perfect. And now we can press Y, and this will let us rotate. So now we're just gonna, this can be tricky. So this can change from time to time. It's tricky sometimes it's not, but best of luck. So we're just gonna try and, nope. We just want to rotate, my God. Alright, so we're just going to rotate it. You got to click on this outer circle here. So we just want to rotate that to be right side up. So we're just going to rotate it right about there. I think that logo looks pretty solid right there. And so now our logo's where we want to. So now we're going to move on to step 8, and we're going to repack. So as you can see, if we go back to the home view on our Silk Soccer Ball, we have a patch, but now the rest of our patches are out of order. So we need to repack so that all our patches will reassemble themselves in such a way that our patch is the one and only and everything else looks uniform. So we'll go to repack up here, click on it. And now you can see all our patches within the UV box have scattered around, making themselves, or putting themselves in the right place so that the entire ball doesn't look off kilter. Now we're gonna go back to our network tree. So we have our display set to subdivide to, yes? So now we're gonna go back up. So you can press spacebar home in your network tree to see the entire thing, just like with your viewport. And now we're going to go to Quickshade 1, we're gonna go to its flags, and we're going to set its bypass to true. And so now all that we're looking at is the ball itself in its subdivided state with the UVs on. Now we have a UV grid on the ball, so we can always turn that off. And so to turn off UV, usually there's this UV texture when UV's present, so it'll show them when they're present and not show them when they're not present. It's a bit self-explanatory. And so now we have our soccer ball, we have our UVs, we can turn off our minimum tool. We don't need to pack anything anymore. And so now if we look at our ball, we're pretty much set for the next step, which would be lighting. So we'll work from there. I'd like to thank you for looking at this video, learning a little bit with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to save your work.